Hey, this is Eric, and welcome to this session on engaging AI uses in education. Before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping here. First of all, I want to make sure you can get to all the resources for this session. You should see a link up here on the screen, bit.ly/Kurtz-AI uses. That link will get you to a Google document. That document looks like this, and that document has everything in there that we're going to be exploring throughout the session. Lots of links and examples and resources there. Do take note at the top of the document are all the ways to stay in touch with me, all of my contact information there. And do note that on page 2, you'll find a link to the slideshow if you're wanting to access that, as well as a link to my overall AI resource page. That link will take you out to my blog where you'll find all of my AI documents and tutorial videos and blog posts and tool spotlights. A lot of great resources there. Again, that link is bit.ly/Kurtz-AI uses. Now, for this session, we are going to see a number of tools, but I want to really emphasize right away, this isn't a session about the tools. This is a session about creative uses of AI. So, yep, there's a lot of tools we're going to see, but I'm not saying that any one of these tools is like, oh, that's the best one. You've got to use that tool. These are just ones I picked for this particular session. Chances are there's 3, 4, 5 other tools that do the exact same thing. So if the ones I'm sharing aren't the ones that your school has approved, chances are there's other ones that will do it. In the agenda document, if you scroll on down to I think it's looks like page 3, you'll see the tools that I have picked for this particular session, ones I'm going to be demonstrating throughout the session. But again, like I said, those are just selected tools. There's way more beyond that. If you want to dive into my full list of all of my favorite AI tools, I do have a bit.ly for that resource document as well, bit.ly/Kurtz-AI tools. All right. With all of that said, though, let's get into the meat of this. What are we looking at here? So this session really is a session about how can we use AI? How can it come alongside and help you and help your students? So there's no way in 45 minutes we're going to cover every possibility. So I'm just going to cover some examples, but I hope they can inspire you and broaden your horizons as to some ideas of how AI can be used. All right. Now, what I've done is I've broken this into, I believe, 6 sections. We've got a section on how AI can help you with brainstorming, how it can help you with creating content, how it can help you with altering content, how it can help you with processing information, how it can assist in grading and feedback, and lastly, how it can interact with students through conversations. And that's a really important piece of this as well. That is not just the AI there to support you, but the AI also to support your students with tutoring and things like that. So we will pick from these a couple examples out of each of these categories as we work through them. So with that said, let's get on into it. As a reminder, all of these things you can find here in the agenda document. Same categories, examples, resources. So please explore those on your own as well as we go through this. So let's just do a little bit of brainstorming. Let's start with that. So this is the first example. AI can be a thought partner for you. We're not saying it's going to do your job like we said, but it can just come alongside and broaden your horizons, help you think of things you might not have thought of. Now, please do your own brainstorming as well. I'm not saying let it just do all the work for you, but after you have brainstormed, this may give you some additional ideas. So for my examples here, we're going to look at things like generating writing prompts, making choice board activities, finding real-world connections for things we're teaching, maybe generating assessment questions, accommodation ideas. Those are just, again, a handful of examples. To do this, some of the tools I'm going to use, I will definitely be using ChatGPT. That's, the probably best known AI chatbot. But there's other tools we could use to help us brainstorm. Google has Gemini. That's their version of ChatGPT. There's another great one called Claude. This is from a company called Anthropic. That would be great. Or we could just pop over to a tool like Magic School or many others like this that can also help us brainstorm. There's a lot of really good brainstorming resources in here as well. well as other resources. So let's just try a couple of them. So I think I mentioned, let me see, generating writing prompts was one of them. So I could pop over to ChatGPT and I could say something like, hey, generate a list of 10 different opening sentences for an engaging fiction story that a middle school student would enjoy. Maybe they could use this and they're going to pick one of these and that's going to be their writing prompt. And then they've got to write a story based on it. I could simply put that prompt into ChatGPT, hit submit, and let it start generating. Now, while it's generating, let's do another one. Let's get another one started. Let's jump over to Gemini. And let's say for Gemini, we want to brainstorm choice board activities. So, hey, give me a list of 10 activities for a choice board that, let's say, third grade students can choose from to learn about how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Maybe we're learning about metamorphosis. So I could drop that in there. Let's try another one. Let's say we jump over to Claude for this one. And let's say we're wanting to brainstorm some accommodation ideas. Maybe I've got a 7th grade student. They prefer to be alone. They're struggling with social cues and having trouble getting started and keeping conversations. So what could I do as some possible accommodation supports for that student? So there we go. So let's circle back around to our first one. So back on ChatGPT, we were asking for some opening sentences for stories. So these are writing prompts. So basically, I could go through these and pick out the ones that I think would be great for our students here, So, maybe it's something like, the moment Jackson touched the glowing rock in his backyard, the world around him shimmered and turned into a maze of stars. You get the idea. So I can pull from these as brainstorming ideas that then I could give to my students. They could pick one and use that to help write their story. For Gemini, we asked for some choice board ideas. So we've got things like a story time, life cycle diagram, a mobile puppet show, ask the expert interview, creative writing, a caterpillar's diary, and on and on and on. And again, maybe we don't use all 10 of these. It's just brainstorming. Maybe there's 5 that really stand out. Well, ask it for 10 more, ask it for 20 more, and keep doing that until you find the ones you're looking for. How about Claude? We were asking for some support with a student for some accommodations. So we've got some suggestions for adjustments to the social and environmental adjustments, communication and instruction, academic supports, some more environmental modifications, additional support. And again, just ideas we're brainstorming, we can pull from them. Let's do just a couple more brainstormings and then we're going to move on to a different category here. Let me circle back around to ChatGPT for this one. How about real world connections? We mentioned that earlier. Let's say I want to make a connection between the real world, let's say auto manufacturing. Let's say that's the thing. And I'm trying to connect that to what we are doing in our class. Now, I don't know, let's say I teach middle school math, which is what I taught actually. I was a middle school math teacher. So let's say I'm wanting to bring real world connections between the auto manufacturing process and middle school math. I could just ask ChatGPT or any of these tools, hey, would you generate such a list for me? When I drop that in there we go. It's now going to start saying, oh yeah, sure, there's lots of connections out there. And this could be great. This could help me to be able to see how can I take something from the real world and show my students how it relates to what we are learning about in class. Again, these are just brainstorming ideas. It's still up to me to vet these and decide what I want to do with them, but we're getting geometry and design, we're getting measurement in units, ratios and proportions, statistics, quality control, algebra and robotics, cost analysis and budgeting, on and on. Oh my gosh, we are getting so many ideas where we can see a connection between auto manufacturing and, in this case, mathematics. And it's still going. It's still going. So I got 20 ideas there that they suggested. Now, what if I don't teach math? Well, that's fine. I could say, hey, do the same thing for middle school science. And so now I should probably get a list of ideas as to how auto manufacturing would connect to middle school science. And you get the idea. I could repeat this with, whatever the subject area is, asking for it to help me see where those connections are. Excellent. Well, let's hit just a couple more things and we are going to move on. I think for the last one, I had mentioned about generating possible assessment questions. Let's do something a little different this time. Let's go to Magic School for this one. And again, most of these things you can do in just pretty much any tool. But for example, if I head over to Magic School, one of the tools they have in there is a DOK questions generator, where I can come in here and I can give it some key information. I can tell it, what the grade level is. Maybe it is 8th grade. And then I can say, okay, well, what's the topic? What's the thing we're learning about? And I don't know, let's say it's the Boston Tea Party for a social studies class. Well, I can hit generate, and now it's going to give me a whole bunch of DOK leveled questions. Let me zoom in a little bit on that so we can see that a little bit better. There we go. And so here I've got some level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 questions, going from really basic, like what year did the Boston Tea Party take place, to much more, involved, deeper thinking questions about analyzing the long-term effects and things like that. And again, with any of these, whether it was, Magic School, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, they've all got a copy button. You can just hit the copy button, copy what got generated, paste it into a document or whatever you want to do with it. All right, so that's just some couple of quick ideas about how AI could be used for brainstorming. I guarantee you there's hundreds of other examples. Those are just a couple that I picked out to get us started. All right, how about we go a little deeper? What about creating content? So far, we were just brainstorming, but no. Let's say we want to actually make something here. This could be like creating a lesson plan, creating a rubric, creating an IEP, writing an email, making a quiz, making a slideshow, generating code, writing and performing a song. Yes, believe it or not, AI can actually play music and sing songs. Now, again, we're not going to get to every example here. So remember, you can go to here in the agenda and you can see links for like my sample song and code and stuff like that if you want to see more of these. But let's do a lesson plan. I think that's a fair one to start with. That's a pretty common thing a lot of folks may do. I'll pop back over to ChatGPT and let's say I'm doing a PBL lesson plan, so project-based or problem-based, I guess, depending on how you want to look at that. And let's say it's, I'm going to give it a little bit of guidance here. Let's say it's 45 minutes for this lesson plan. And again, let's do some real world stuff. Let's say we've been learning about electricity and circuits, and maybe I teach 9th grade science and I'm trying to, make a connection between those, but I want to turn this now into an actual PBL lesson plan for my students. So I could drop that in there and it's going to generate this lesson plan for me. Now, as I've said before, you need to double check everything. It's not like, please don't just take this and, use it verbatim. But it is a template from which you could work. It might be like, well, maybe you haven't taught that exact grade level or topic before in the past, and this is giving you some great ideas to begin with, or maybe you've been teaching it for 33 years, like I've been in education that long, and you just want some fresh ideas, you want a new take on it. But there we go. So here we have a lesson plan that includes our materials we're going to need. We've got, our driving question. We've got the investigate and explore section, plan and design, build and test, share and reflect, some assessment ideas, extension ideas, key takeaways. And there we go. We now have a PBL lesson plan that we can build from. Other things that we might want to create, maybe a rubric. That's a common thing we might do. How about a 1 to 4 point scale rubric? Maybe it's back to the Boston Tea Party. I've got a bunch of Boston Tea Party examples. And again, let me just say, the examples I'm showing, I realize no matter what I pick, and I'll go ahead and send this and let it generate while I'm getting on my soapbox here. No matter what I pick, for sure, no one thing is going to relate to everybody. So I would just say put your stuff in place of this. These are just placeholders. These are just examples. In this case, it's a rubric where I'm saying, hey, 1 to 4 point scale, 8th grade American history, causes of the Boston Tea Party or something like that. And there it is, but you can put whatever you teach in place of that. You can ask ChatGPT or really any of these tools. Magic School has a rubric creator in here as well that you'd be able to grab real quick as well. There's many tools that do this sort of a thing. But there we go. I've got a rubric. I can now come in and I can copy that, paste that into a document, clean it up, add things to it, adjust it as need be. Other possibilities of creation. What about communication? Let's go to Gemini. We'll jump around. We'll jump around between a lot of these. Let's say I need to write an email home. I could say, hey, you know what? I need to write an email to middle school parents. I want to encourage student reading at home. I'd like to really have the students read more at home, but how can I express this to the parents? Well, there we go. It's now creating this email, or it could be like a newsletter article or whatever you might want it to be. But hey, dear parents, it's so important with reading being fundamental. Here's some things you could do. Dedicated reading time, comfortable reading environment, lead by example, limit distractions, let your child choose audiobooks, graphic novels, going on and on and on. Excellent. I can copy this down here, copy this and paste this. Or if I'm using Gemini, I can actually just use the share button. Gemini, you can send it straight over to Gmail or Docs because that is a Google product there. How about something other than emails and so forth? Let's move into, let's see, what about quizzes and slideshows? That's more than just creating like text that I'm going to copy and paste. So for this, I'm going to go a slightly different route for these. I'm going to use a tool we haven't seen yet. So first of all, let me bring up my content that I'm going to be using. And I know it's Boston Tea Party again, but again, you can put whatever you want in for any of these. Let's say I want to make a quiz on the Boston Tea Party. And let's say I'm going to make a slideshow. Let's do both. Let's do a slideshow based on this, and let's do a quiz based on this. For this one, I'm going to pop to a different tool this time. We're going to use one called Brisk. Now, Brisk is actually an extension. It's not a website you go to. It's an extension that you install. And so I've already got the Brisk extension installed. It basically is this little button up here. When I click on the extension, the little Brisk button shows up. When I click on it, then it pops up this toolbox here that I can pull from. And again, if you decide, hey, this one looks cool, go back to the section on my selected tools and you'll see Brisk right there. There's the website. There's my blog post about it, my demo video about it to let you know how to use the tool. But what I love about this is it's great for creating content. Again, there's lots of tools that do this, but basically, let's say I've got this article and I want to make a quiz based on this article. Well, it's so simple to do. Just click on the Brisk extension, click on the Create button, and look at all the things I can create. I can make a quiz from this. I can make a lesson plan. I can make a presentation. I can do guided notes. I can do DOK questions. Really all kinds of stuff. But we were going to do a quiz. So let's say, let's make a quiz off of this article. And let's say, it's, 8th grade, and let's do multiple choice, and maybe just 5 questions is enough for this quick example. And there we go. Hit next. Say, let's make a Google form out of that. Hit the Brisk button. And that's it, folks. It's going to read the article. And now it's going to generate a Google form for us, and it's going to fill in all of our quiz questions. Now, again, double check. Read all the questions, make sure they're good, make sure that the correct answer is chosen and the other ones are good options and all that kind of stuff. But boom, there you go. You've now got a quiz that you could push out to your students. What about a slideshow? Same idea. Click on Brisk, go to Create, and Presentation. So I could say, let's make a presentation, 8th grade. Again, we'll just do 5 slides, so it's a little bit quicker. And then I could choose, the style that I want. And once again, you get the idea. It's going to read the article. It's now going to create a slideshow for me. And again, I'll go through this and I'll make adjustments and, I'll make sure all the information is accurate, maybe add some of my own content in there. But there it goes. It's generating, here's slide 1, colonial tensions. We got the Tea Act. We got the Boston Tea Party itself, reactions and consequences, and then the legacy. So it's given me a nice starting place to begin from. And again, Brisk is not the only tool that can do this. There's lots of tools that make slideshows and quizzes and other things, but it is a good example of that. And as I said, there's other things you can create. We won't take the time to go into it, but generating code, generating songs, take a look. I got a whole section in here on using AI to code. You can play an example educational game that I generate with AI, as well as writing and performing songs. I did a song about the water cycle, teaching students about the water cycle, and the AI wrote the lyrics, wrote the music, and sang and performed the song. So you can dive deeper into all of that. All right, let's keep going. How about another category? What about altering content? So let's say we've already got information. We're not trying to create it. We're not just trying to brainstorm. Hey, I've got my information. I want it to be changed. So re-leveling text, that's definitely one of the big ones in there. So it's at a different reading level, maybe taking text and rewriting in a different style. Maybe, hey, I've done some writing and I want to do some editing. I want to alter it. Give me feedback on how I can improve my writing. Or maybe I've written an email and I'm in a bad mood, or I'm a little frustrated, or it's a sensitive email and I want to say, hey, can you help me rewrite this in a more professional manner? And on and on and on. Let's try a couple examples here. Let's say we go back to our Boston Tea Party article here, and I say, you know what, I want to use this with my students, but I'm worried it's not quite the right reading level for them. Now, I absolutely could use something like Brisk. Brisk has a change level button. I can click on that and it'll say, oh, it looks like this is around 10th grade. I can say, you know what, let's drop this down to 6th grade. And then I could hit change reading level and it's going to do that. Cool thing is that there's lots of other tools that do this sort of thing. One that I would point out is one called Diffit. I don't know if you're familiar with Diffit or not, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that over here. I'm letting Brisk do its job there, but I'm going to go ahead and pull Diffit over here as well and just show you as a comparison. So Diffit, and let me zoom in just a little bit on it as well so you can see it a little bit better. It allows you to give it an article, or give it a YouTube video, or upload a PDF, or just put in a topic, and it will differentiate. It will re-level the information and create support materials. So if I grabbed this Boston Tea Party article here and copied that and went over to Diffit, I could say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to paste that article in there. I'm going to say, you know what? Let's drop this down, like we said, to like a 6th grade level, for example, and hit generate resources. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to read in the article and it's going to make a new version. Now, while it's doing that, let's see how Brisk did. Brisk is still working. It's not done yet. I wasn't sure if it was finished yet or not. Looks like it is still working through its re-leveling of that. But there we go. This is a 6th grade reading level version of that article according to Brisk. Here is Diffit's version. I can pop in here, and here we have an adapted reading passage. It looks a little bit shorter, but you can adjust that. You can say, you know what, instead of it being, medium, let's make it long or original or short. You can decide the length that you wanted. And if you wanted to re-level it again, you could pick a different grade level. Well, what I love about Diffit is it doesn't just re-level, but it creates supports as well. It gives you bullet point summaries of that. It pulls out key vocabulary words, gives you a definition in an example sentence. It gives you multiple choice questions, short answer questions, writing prompts, and all of that you can copy and use with your students to help support them. So those are some quick examples of altering, for example, the level of text. Let's go back to what we were saying about like getting feedback on writing or maybe rewriting an email. Let's jump back over to ChatGPT for this. Let's say I needed to write a recommendation letter. That's common. That happens a lot. You might get asked by a student to write a recommendation letter for them. So I could say something like, hey, how can I improve this recommendation letter I wrote? And I could just paste in my rough draft. Here's my rough draft. This is the general gist of what I want to say about John. And, he wants to go to this university. And if I drop that in, ChatGPT can look through that and help me edit existing content. So now it's going to be like, okay, here's some suggestions that could help. And so now we're getting a revised version of that. And at the bottom, it'll probably run through like, well, here's what I did to change it, just so it's going to let me know what those adjustments were there. Yep, there we go. So it's saying, hey, we're improving the opening. We're giving some specific examples, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If I like this again, boom, I'm ready to go. I can copy that, paste that, and use it. Again, you could do the same thing for an email that you're writing as well. All right. So we've seen things like brainstorming, creating content, altering content. One thing that I think is really important to show, though, is the ability to process information that's not just regular old pasted text, because that's pretty much what we've been doing. I've been copying and pasting text in. many AI tools allow you to process files, PDFs, spreadsheets, images, slideshows, documents, things like that. And so let's take a quick look at how I could do some of that as well. I'm probably going to use ChatGPT for the first batch here because ChatGPT does have a paperclip button, and it's been there the whole time, just haven't pointed it out, but it's there when you're using ChatGPT. And this is the free, you can do this in the free version. You don't have to pay for the upload option. That is something that's included in there. You can come in here and you can click the paperclip and you can add files to ChatGPT and then ask it for feedback. So let's try an example here. The file that I'm going to use for my example here is Ohio's K-12 social and emotional learning standards. Now, I live in Ohio, and so that's one I can quickly grab. So let's say I've got this, this SEL standards document. It's 38-page long PDF. Well, here's the beauty. I can download and upload that PDF into ChatGPT and say, hey, help me with this, read this for me, and then summarize it or give me suggestions or things like that. So in this case, let's try that. Let's hit the little paperclip button here and say we want to upload from the computer. We're going to go to my resources in here, and we'll find that that document that I have downloaded here. It's sitting right here in my SEL standards file there. Okay, there we go. So I've uploaded that file. Now what I want to do is let's ask it something. Let's say, hey, attached is, this SEL document. What are some key takeaways? Let's say if I teach grade 6. So basically what's it going to do? It's going to read that whole PDF for me, and it's going to give me, in this case, a summary of key takeaways related to grade 6. Now, I could do follow-up questions. So what are some practical ways that I could implement these in my classroom? But that's the beauty of this, is it's going to process through that whole giant PDF for me and be able to generate resources. Now, that's awesome. ChatGPT is great for that. And you can do, it's not just PDFs. You can upload spreadsheets, you can upload images, you can upload all kinds of things. There is another tool, though, that I do want to get on your radar when it comes to processing files, and that is Notebook LM. If you're not familiar with this one, this is one that is from Google. So it's using Gemini. Gemini is what's in the background. Gemini is powering Notebook LM. But what it is basically an option for you to upload your own files and then chat with AI about your files. So here's the way it works. I'm going to use this example that I've got here on the Cold War. Let's say I'm a social studies teacher and I've got a unit coming up on the Cold War that I teach. Well, what you can do in Notebook LM is you can create notebooks. You can just create a notebook, which is what I've done. You see I got bunches and bunches of notebooks here. So you create a notebook, and then in that notebook, you add your own files. So there's a little add source button up here. You can click that and look at all the stuff you can add. You can upload PDFs. You can upload audio files. You can add Google Docs, Google Slides. You can add websites. It'll take a website and pull all the content from the web page. You can add YouTube videos. It'll take a YouTube video and grab the transcript and pull that in. You can just copy and paste text in. But basically, you add files, and you can add up to 50 files to one notebook. So we're not just talking one file, up to 50 files. So what I did here was I added a whole bunch of files. We've got like slideshows. So here are 4 different slideshows that, again, I'm just pretending that I'm a social studies teacher. These are actually real files from a social studies teacher who's kind enough to share them with me. But let's say these are my slideshows that I teach my unit with. Let's say these are my study guides that are Google Docs that I use with my students. Let's say this is a video that we watch in class about the Cold War. I can load all of this into here, and then once it's loaded in there, just come down here and just start asking questions, ask it to generate content, ask it to, make DOK leveled questions, whatever the case is. I did that earlier. I asked it to generate some DOK leveled questions, and here's what it generated on the side. So my my response or my question was generate, DOK leveled questions based on this content. And it did. Here's, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's the questions and the answers. And it pulled that from my content there. Other things you can do, it's got a button here to create a study guide, a briefing doc, an FAQ, a timeline. So like the briefing doc, that one's great. It's basically just taking all this information and just crystallizing it all together in this this summary here with central themes, key events, quotes, etc., etc. In addition to all of that, one other thing that it can do that is really interesting is it can also generate what's called an audio overview. So this is a neat little extension. Basically, you can use the audio overview button, and what it will do is it'll make a pretend podcast that covers the information. So it's going to basically use two AI co-hosts. They're not real, just AI co-hosts, and they're going to talk about the information. And when you go to generate this audio overview, you can type in like, some directions like, hey, focus on the Red Scare, or, make sure this is appropriate for 8th graders, make this engaging and whatever. And it's going to take all of your content and it's going to generate that for you there. Now, I won't play the whole thing, but up here is, it did like a 14-minute long audio overview. Let me go ahead and play and just let you hear a little quick clip of it.
All right, class. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into one of the most intense chapters of the Cold War. The Red Scare of the 1950s. And we've got a bunch of sources to help us break it all down for you. So we've got your study guides, some notes from that crash course video you watched, even a few presentation slides. And let me tell you, getting into this material, it's pretty fascinating, just to see how fear gripped the whole nation and how this global standoff with the Soviets, it really played out right here in America.
Yeah, what's so interesting about the Red Scare is that it wasn't just some far-off political thing. It reached into everyday life, schools, movies.
All right, I'll just go ahead and pause that there, but you get the idea. So Notebook LM, what a great tool. This is a great way to be able to load your own files up and then just chat with the AI about them to generate really anything you want, but it's coming from your own files. All right. Next category, grading and feedback. This is a pretty popular use of AI. It's a very common task that many of us need to do in education to grade work, provide feedback on it. I'm going to mention a couple quick examples, but I want to let you know, because that's a pretty big topic, I do have an entire session that I just do on that. So in the agenda, again, if you follow that link, it'll take you out to a deeper dive into grading with AI. This is going to be like a incredibly brief, quick overview of it. You can learn all about all these other tools and ways in that. But let me just give you a couple of quick ideas. So the idea is, again, AI's not doing your job. It's just coming alongside to assist you. And so in this case, what we're saying is that AI could be a second set of eyes. I'm still going to read the essays. I'm still going to grade them. But the AI is also going to look at them and it's going to give its opinion so that I've got another set of eyes on that. Now, I could definitely do this with AI chatbots. I could go to something like ChatGPT and I could have it assist me with grading. So let's say I have a rubric that I'm going to be grading with. And in this case, here's the one I'm going to use. It's just a Boston Tea Party rubric here. I want the student to write an essay about the causes of the Boston Tea Party. So let's say I have that rubric. Well, what I could do is I could come here and I could hit the little paperclip button. And I could say, let's upload the rubric. That should be in my little grading folder here. Yep, there it is. Grade 8 Boston Tea Party causes. So I've added that rubric. I've attached the rubric there. And then let's say I need an essay that I want to grade. Well, let's say, here we go. Let's say we've got this student essay. And again, not real, just a pretend essay here. But let's say this is a student's essay on the Boston Tea Party, and I got some intentional spelling errors and things like that. Well, what I could do is I could ask ChatGPT or any of these tools. I could say, hey, using this uploaded rubric, grade this American history class, this middle school American history class informational written report on the causes of the Boston Tea Party. Additionally, provide suggestions for improvement written directly to the student in a helpful and friendly tone. Now, in this case, I could just copy their essay, and I could just paste that right in there. So let's do that. Let's just paste that in. And there you go. The AI is going to now read the rubric. It's going to read the essay. And there it goes. It's giving them a 3 out of 4 on content, a 2 out of 4 on organization and structure, a 2 out of 4 on writing quality. It's giving them a 3 out of 4 on historical accuracy. So altogether, and here we go. Yeah, we're getting our suggestions now. So that's the grading at the top. And then, hey, great job summarizing this, et cetera, et cetera. You covered some key ideas, but here's some ways to make your report even better. And so now we're getting, we need more details, transitions, grammar and spelling issues, academic tone, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you could copy this, you could modify this, you could use this to help support your students. So that's an option. Another option is I could use a tool like Brisk. I know I've mentioned Brisk a lot, but I'm just using it as an example. If I've got Brisk installed, I can click on the Brisk extension, and right here from my student's document, there's a Give Feedback button right there. Click that, and I can decide what kind of feedback I want to give to the student. Do I have a rubric that I want feedback on? Do I want to do a glow and grow? Let's just do a quick glow and grow as an example here. If I say, yeah, this is an 8th grade assignment, and I hit Brisk, it is now going to read the student's essay and give glow, like what did you do well, grow, what could you improve, and wondering how could you go further with this. I can copy, use this, insert this. It's going to be, another set of feedback that I could use with my students. Again, there's way more than just that. There's tools like Snorkel, which allows you to grade spoken responses. There's Enlighten AI that does a lot of this more on a bulk level where you can easily go through lots and lots of student writing. Again, check out the AI grading to get more details on that. And that brings us to the last category I was going to mention. And I know we're flying through these and just giving you some examples, but the last one I want to mention is AI for conversations. And what I mean by this is student use. Everything we've seen up to now, pretty much this has been teacher focused. How can AI assist you? How can it come along and help you? And that's great. Please absolutely do that. But I'd hate to stop there because AI can also be a great support for our students. AI can help tutor students. AI can help quiz students. Students can interview an AI and talk to the AI. Let it take on a role. Let the AI be a character from a book or a person from history, or let it be an animal that they're learning about in class. Let it be a career that they're learning about and interview, an AI that has that career. They can debate an AI. They can reflect on their learning. AI can be used in many ways to support students with individualized, personalized interactions. Again, this is a big topic. So if you want to go deeper, I'm going to show you some examples, but if you want to go deeper, I have 2 sessions I do on this one. In the agenda document, you'll see here's this one called Custom AI Chatbots for Personalized Student Learning, and this other one's called Today's Special Classroom Guest. Both of these go into way more detail than I'm going to have time for now, and I do have lots of examples here. Magic School, Brisk, School AI, loads of ones you can click on and try out as if you were a student. I am going to show you, though, a couple of those really, really quick here. So let's say we want to do something like, let's say tutoring. That's a pretty common example here. Let's say we want a student to be able to go to an AI and ask it for some tutoring support. So for this example, what I'm going to go with is School AI. So let me go ahead and just pull it up real quick so you can see the website. If I go to School AI and I sign in as a teacher here, School AI allows me to be able to go to this Discover tab up here and pick from thousands of pre-made AI chatbots that I can use for bell ringers, exit tickets, topic explorers, historical figure chatbots, tutoring sessions, book explorers, and then down here there's loads and loads and loads more. There's a search bar at the top. There's just so many of these. But let's say we want to do something tutoring. Let's say we want our students to be able to have a chat, have a conversation with an AI to provide them with some additional tutoring. And let's say it's a science class. So I think down here I've got Sam the science tutor. There he is. So I can come in here as a teacher, click on Sam the science tutor, and I can test it out. I can go ahead and hit the start preview, and I can see, how it's going to work, make sure I'm happy with it. As long as I'm happy with it, I can simply hit the launch button, and what it will do is it will generate a link for me. It'll give me a link I can push out through Classroom, or a link I can copy and give to my students. Now, I've already got one that I have started earlier, so I'm just going to pull that one over here. This is what the students see when they click on that link, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this a little bit better. Basically, they just get a page that says, "What's your name?" They're not going to create an account. They're not going to log in. They don't have to give an email address. It's all school safe, student friendly. They just basically come in and put in their name and they join. And that's it. At this point, the student can now have a conversation. Now, this is a tutoring example. So many other possibilities we could do, but in this case, let's say it's a tutoring example. Well, great. Here, Sam is asking them what grade they're in. Notice it will speak. If you want them, it'll do text-to-speech, and the student can use the microphone to speak if they're having a hard time typing. But a student could say, yeah, I'm in 6th grade, and they could put that in, and now Sam's going to ask them like, well, what would you like to learn about? What are you exploring? And I don't know, maybe we're learning about levers or something, And so now Sam will hopefully review levers with me. This is the beauty of this. It's going to meet the students where they're at. If there's a student who's struggling, they could say something like, I don't get first class levers. Maybe they just really don't understand it. They don't get it. Well, the AI is not going to lose its temper. It's just going to meet them where they're. So, hey, let's break this down. Let's go ahead and work through this. And so it's going to talk about seesaws now and start talking them through the whole process. Maybe you've got another student who totally understands everything you're covering. Well, guess what? They can go deeper. They can go further and learn additional things. This allows us to differentiate and personalize learning for every student. And in addition to what I've shown you there, quick heads up, you can almost in every one of these tools switch to different languages. That's true with pretty much all the tools I've shown here. In School AI, it's just a simple button up here on the top. And for what it's worth, all of this gets recorded for the teacher. I don't have time to show you that whole back end of it. Check out my other resources for that. But the teacher can go in and they can see the entire conversation, everything the student types, everything the AI types, so that you as a teacher can have better understanding of what your students understand, what they don't, where they're struggling, how you can help them better. Now, that's just one very quick example. Like I said, I've got a lot of them here. Magic School does this. Brisk does this. School AI does this. Check these out. You can pretend to be a student. You can do the science tutor, math tutor, English or social studies, chat with Abraham Lincoln, chat about Charlotte's Web, etc. Under Brisk Teaching, I've got one on Metamorphosis, Romeo and Juliet. Under Magic School, I've got a Boston Tea Party example, The Most Dangerous Animal, support tools. You can try out any of these there as well. All right. Well, folks, I know that's quick. I know that's a lot of stuff I threw at you there all at once. But the idea was just to try to broaden the horizons and say, here are 6 big categories of how AI can be used, and a few examples in each one of those. Please remember that everything I shared with you there, all of that information, you can get at bit.ly/Kurtz-AI uses. There's lots of links in there so you can try these things out. And also, please remember, you don't have to use the tools I used. I wasn't trying to focus on the tools as much as how we can use AI. So if you don't have the tools that I mentioned, there's going to be multiple other ones that do similar things, and you can use them as well. With all of that said, thank you so much for taking the time to learn with me. Please stay in touch. I'd love to keep learning with you and hear how all of this goes for you. Take care, everybody. And if you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing, accessing all of my resources at controlaltachieve.com, and connecting with me at bit.ly/CAA-connect, where you'll find my email, social media links, newsletter, and more.